Yes. Or so we know that dog's going to run. All right. And this goes on the end of a line. And there are two types of coursing. One is called continuous loop, and this is going to be important, so I'm going to talk a little bit about this. Continuous loop is where the line, the whole course, is a continuous loop. And that means that that line is always running at all parts on the course. Okay? So if you are a handler, you have to be aware of where that line is on the ground, because if you inadvertently step where that line can touch you, it'll cut you just like a laser. All right? Okay? When your dog is running on a continuous loop, the lure operator, which is what I do, has to be very cognizant of if the dog, for whatever reason, dives and catches that line, you have to stop it right away. Because otherwise, it's like dental floss made of metal. Okay? So there are two types of lure. One is continuous loop, which you will typically see on Fast Cat, which is what we're doing today. As a handler, the only thing you really need to be aware of is when you're coming to the course and leaving the course, know where that line is, and if it's moving, don't go near it. The course we have designed here, all of the return for the lure is on the far side of the course. So everything on this side of the course is safe, there's no line there. Okay? But there are other courses where that line may be coming past you, either when you're entering or leaving the course. So just be aware of that. A drag lure, which is this guy, that's not the case, because it's just tied to the end of the line, and once that line moves, there's nothing else behind it because the lure is past it. Okay? Drag lure events, if you attend a drag lure event, and I'll talk a little bit more about that later, typically take a little bit longer because you have to restring the lure after every race. Okay? And normally they have either a scooter or a ATV or something to do that. But they take a little bit longer, but you can see why that's more. Yeah. All right. So there you go. All right. So let's talk about what kinds of racing there are. Today we're going to be doing the shortest race, which is called Fast Cat. It's an AKC sanctioned event. AKC sanctions Fast Cat and a coursing ability test, which is a longer race. Both of those you can earn titles through AKC. The Fast Cat, easiest way to think about it is think about track and field events. It's a 100-yard dash. And so at this end of the course, when you come in, there's a little box spray painted on the ground. You position your dog wherever you want it to be within that box, okay? And they will cross through a set of timing lights, which start the timer. And then at the end of the course, there's another set of timing lights that end the timer. And so your dog will actually get a time in seconds for their race. And then you can convert that to speed and whatnot. AKC, in official AKC events, they maintain all those records. And then they have like a national championship and their titles, and you can make this a really competitive sport if you want. And they break it down by breed and by size. So what we're doing today is Fast Cat, 100-yard sprint. The other event AKC offers is the coursing ability test, and the easiest way to think about that is, have you ever watched the sports cars that go, the Grand Prix sports cars that go on the twisty turny courses? Yeah. So a coursing ability test is not a straight line. The lure goes around a course, and so the dog has to corner and follow the lure. And they're judged on how well they do that. So straight line versus got to be able to corner, got to be able to follow the lure on a course. All right? Those are the two AKC events. There's also something called LEGRA, Large Gazehound Racing Association, which is a 200-yard straight line course, but your dog is racing against up to 4 other dogs of the same breed. And they actually get points based on their placement, and they'll run 2 courses, get their points, and in each course, the dogs that win get more points, and then they race against the other dogs who won. And so at the end of all of that, whichever dog has the most points is your winner. Okay? They also have a version called ASPA, which is the same thing, that kind of Grand Prix course, twisting and turning, but it's not just one dog, it's multiple dogs. and they are judged on how well they follow the lure, how fast they are, how well they corner, and they get a score. And then those scores again translate as they move up through the events. So you have 4 different possible events. You have 2 straight line events, cat, of course, fast cat, which is what we're doing today, and Legra, which is twice as long as what we're doing today. And then you have 2 kind of Grand Prix events, which is coursing ability test through AKC, or ASFA. And ASFA can be up to 600 yards. So they can get pretty long. Okay? All right, so let's talk a little bit. This won't matter for today. But if you start doing any of the events where you are going to be racing with other dogs, so that would be either Legra or ASFA, you will need to get a muzzle for your dog, okay, and what's called a blanket, little racing jersey, all right, and that way the judges can distinguish, you know, which dog is which. The muzzle is because sometimes when you have multiple dogs running together, they get a little bit pissy with each other, okay, and because when you're using these bad boys, which aren't cheap, if they're not wearing a muzzle, yeah, these get shredded really fast. And they're a lot more expensive than plastic bags. For AKC events, I just like to release my dog by just holding him by the collar and letting him go. Okay? You don't want to have your leash on. So when you come out, if your dog's on a leash, you're going to take that leash off and you're going to throw it behind you so that it doesn't get tangled in the dog's feet when they leave. So take the leash off, throw it behind you. I like to release my dogs just through their collar. They can have a collar. And I use an underhand grip because it's a lot easier just to do this as the dog goes than to try and do this. So I'll use an underhand grip on the collar and just let it go. In the other events, the ASFA and Legra, you will often use what's called a slip lead. Okay? And so you can see this is a collar, and you can buy them online. And the idea with the slip lead is when the dog lunges after the lure to start, all you do is let go. Okay? So, and you can also buy quick release leads that all you have to do is push a button and they go. So, if you decide you like what we're doing today and you want to go on and you find ask for a Legra, you're gonna need to get one of these and a muzzle and a blanket. And there are a lot of websites, and we can just reach out to us. We can help you do that. Any questions so far? Yeah.
Tags on the collar and reading.
Uh-huh. You don't want to have tags. For today, we're just practicing, so don't sweat it.
Okay.
All right. Today, all the rules that I've given you don't apply because we're just having fun today. You're helping me practice with my equipment. Some of you are going to learn whether or not your dogs like to run. All right. So a couple other things. So once we start, I would say once we get started, and we're going to start pretty quickly here, kind of stay in the shade here where it's nice. The entrance is right over here. Okay. You'll take your dog in. You'll see 2 little tripods there with the timing curtains on them. Do not go in front of them. Come behind them, and then you'll see a box, a spray painted box. And you're going to put your dog in that box. And typically, especially if it's first time running, you want the dog running to whoever mom or dad is down there. So whoever they love most. Sorry, you got to make choices. You know, whoever they love most is at that end as the catcher. Okay, because at least initially, before your dog figures out I'm chasing the bag, they might also be like, "Oh, mom." Okay, so if you need somebody to help you release, we have Dory. We have all kinds of people to help you release. So just raise your hand and ask. So you'll come in. Dog will be in the box. Make sure they're positioned between the 2 timing curtains, but behind them. Okay. The hunt master, which will be Shauna today, will have a little flag. She'll be standing behind you so you can't see her. She's going to check me to make sure I'm ready. She's going to check you to make sure you're ready, and you have to say ready, verbal ready. She'll have a little flag. You won't see this. She'll twiddle that flag. That tells me to move the lure, and then you will hear her say tally ho. As soon as you hear the T, okay, not before, listen for the T. So a lot of handlers with this, to make sure they don't get a penalty for releasing their dog too soon, they actually hold their dog and they look at the ground, so they're not looking at the lure. So they're not anticipating. So all they're doing is looking at the ground and listening for the tee. Boom, dog goes. All right, it will cross through the timing curtain, run the course, hopefully. Run through the timing curtain at the other end and you'll get a time.
Give them an opportunity to chase the lure before you call them. That way, because that's what they're supposed to be learning, is to chase the lure. But there's a good chance you will have to call them. Just give them a chance to see how they do.
So that's for the catchers at the other end. Don't start yelling for your dog right away. See if they chase the lure naturally. Okay? If they don't chase the lure naturally, then call for them. What we're doing today, we want to make sure everyone has fun, and we want to try and get dogs who might be a little bit shy to actually connect. So if the dog's kind of like, I don't know, then whoever is releasing down here can actually run with the dog. Remember, there's a line there, so don't get close to the line. Run with the dog. Stay on the outside. The dog should be between you and the line. Because what you're trying to do, it may be initially where the dog is just running along with you, but then they see that lure and they're like, ooh, hell yeah, you know? And as soon as you have that hell yeah moment, you stop running and let the dog do its thing. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. At the other end of the course, and for today it doesn't matter because we're just being kind of casual and easy today. At the other end of the course, catcher, collect your dog. There's a gate at the end of the course and get off the course. So a few things if you start doing this for real. What makes these events drag on forever are two things. Okay. One, you're not ready to race and they're like waiting for you while you go get your dog out of the car. Know when you're coming up and be ready to get into that starting area. If you need a catcher, arrange that beforehand. So right now, I'm going to finish up in about 3 or 4 minutes here. If you need a catcher, talk to him before we even start, so you know ahead of time, okay? The other thing that slows things down is down at the end of the course, catchers kind of dawdling or letting the dog savage the bag or, celebrating. Celebrating is important, but get your dog off the course, okay? So handlers getting on and off are two of the biggest impacts on how long an event takes.
Which is more important when it's hot.
Any wisdom from you?
So usually at the straight racing stuff, if you need a catcher, just yell out, "Hey, I need a catcher," or "I need a releaser," and there'll be a bunch of people just loitering around the front that'll help you. Yeah, I've never seen anybody, not be able to get a race.
Yeah, this community, for those of you that are new, this community is actually really friendly and it's if you've done dog sports or conformation or clubs or whatever, not all of them really feel particularly,
Inclusive.
Yeah. This community is a really cool community. So if you get into the racing and you like it, you're going to meet some cool people. Anything that you feel like I left out?
Nope.